2025 is shaping up to be a pretty good year for Manchester City fans so far. What are we, 9 days into it so far, and Manchester City have been linked with some of the best up-and-coming European footballers there is, and an absolute blockbuster name already. With City looking to spend this amount of money in January, surely those little cogs in the tiny little brains of our rival fans are starting to turn and put 2 and 2 together and stop getting 5. They're starting to get 4. Believe it or not. They're starting to think, hang on a minute, hang on a gosh darn picking minute. Maybe, just maybe, Manchester City are not guilty. Maybe Manchester City are going to be cleared of all these charges. Because what football club in their right mind would go and spend 150 million plus getting closer to 200 million with some of the players we're being linked with in January? And this is following the case. The case has already happened. We have already had the case. We are now in the deliberation stage of the case. We're waiting to hear back from the results, and that's going to take an age because it's a large amount of documentation to go through. It will not be a quick result. We have to wait for that to happen. But the fact that the case has happened, indicates that Manchester City came away from that case incredibly confidently. They are now spreading that confidence to the agents of these players, because which player in their right mind would want to join a football club that could be potentially playing League One football or worse the following season? You know, I'm sure the players will have some sort of stipulations as a potential release clause to get them out of trouble should they be relegated. But the likeliness of some of these players that we're being linked with, the likes of Omar Mamush, for example, jumping ship from Eintracht Frankfurt, who've got legitimate silverware up for grabs. And I mean, not the Bundesliga, but they could go and bag a Europa League this year. You never know. But he's seen the light. He's seen the future. He's seen his name up in lights in Manchester. That's where he sees himself, in Manchester. And what an exciting time that makes it to be a Manchester City fan right now, and the fear the rival fans will have, knowing what this means, because there is no football club that would spend the money that we're about to spend. Through legitimate means, by the way. Don't forget the money that we've made, the net spend. We've got Birmingham City who had a higher net spend than us in recent transfer windows. We cashed in. We went cha-ching with Julian Alvarez and stupidly didn't spend that money in the summer. We're rectifying that right now. Manchester City have made massive mistakes in the summer of transfer window that's just passed. We are now fixing that as Manchester City Football Club. We are fixing it. So pat on the back for Cheeky, pat on the back for Hugo Viana, his new partner in crime. Albeit temporary, because Hugo Viana is going to take over the reins for the foreseeable future when Cheeky eventually leaves the club permanently. But here we are. Cheeky, one last goodbye message from Cheeky is acquiring the likes of Omar Mamush and getting Vitor Reis and Abdukodir Khusanov as well. These up-and-coming centre-backs with other players being linked. We've got Ola Aina from Nottingham Forest being linked with Manchester City. I can't see that one happening in January, but we're waiting to hear for the big one, the defensive midfielder as well. With reports today, that's suggesting that is going to happen. It's going to happen at some point that Manchester City get these players over the line, or in particular a defensive midfielder. That is the area that we're not being linked with, which City fans are still a little bit concerned about, me included. But we need to see that player signed. But the other players that we're being linked with is just such a promising sign for the football club on the whole. What that means for the rival fans in terms of how they have to rub out those little imaginary asterisks that they put next to all of our achievements and all of our accolades. They're going to have to swallow that pill, mate. You're going to have to swallow it, mate. It's going to be bitter. It's going to be grim. You might need a big glass of water to get that down. A big glass of water. Because it's going to be brutal when the City fans unleash. And it's good to see City fans getting on board. They're waking up to the idea that Manchester City maybe, just maybe, they didn't do anything wrong. Maybe they had the finger incorrectly pointed at them through one man, Rui Pinto, who hacked our databases to provide this information. He seems legit, doesn't he? An illegal hacker who's now facing a prison sentence, a suspended prison sentence at best, but still, you know, the guy is hardly credible, is he? Do you know what I mean? And all the rival fans, they hung that's the corner they chose to fight in, you know, with a guy who hacks illegally. You know, and maybe now Manchester City fans have got something to laugh at. But it's good to see the City fans, like I say, waking up to this situation, because a lot of City fans I've spoken to had huge amounts of doubts around the 115 charges. I mean, I've made a playlist. I've been doing this for over a year now on this YouTube channel. And I made a massive playlist. I've got a whole list of videos that go into great detail of what my personal beliefs are, what the actual facts are that we have, as well as my beliefs. As to, I don't think we're guilty. I think we're going to get cleared of all charges. And I've been saying it for quite some time. And it's good to see the City fans waking up and saying the same thing now. But I must say, I've been up for a while. Talking about this. you know, and it's about time the City fans got him. But welcome, just welcome to this side of the world. Welcome to this way of thinking. It's lovely. It's lovely to picture a world where Manchester City can just eradicate the accusations of 115 charges and go forward just thinking about the football. We can pat ourselves on the back once again. We can re-celebrate all of our achievements, you know, 4 in a row, mate. A treble, a domestic quadruple, 100 points. Things that other football clubs daren't even dream of, we've achieved, you know? We achieved the best of the best, and we've had a terrible end to 2024, and we are fixing it right now. We're fixing it, and I'm so happy to be a City fan today, waking up to the news, because these transfer rumours, they're just snowballing into this massive snowball of positivity for Manchester City fans, and it's amazing. Let's have a look at the first player that I wanted to talk to you about today, Vitor Reis. I know absolutely nothing about him, and I don't think many City fans can hold their hands up and say they do know much about this kid, because he's a kid at the end of the day. He's 18 years old, coming from Brazil. A huge amount of praise has been thrown his way in the last 24 hours due to being linked with Manchester City, as well as listening to the Brazilians that are in the know. They seem to speak very, very highly of this kid. I mean, he's 18. He turns 19 in 3 days, in fact. So happy birthday for that day, when that day rolls along. Personal terms have been agreed with Manchester City. So there you go. We're getting these deals done. That's great news. Clubs have not agreed, though. And they're asking for 40 million euros. And we're talking 40 million euros for an unknown 18-year-old centre-back from Brazil. That's a large chunk of change. And apparently, according to Fabrizio Romano, the sources are saying that City are trying to get this over the line as quick as possible, because we've already seen a Brighton bid for Rice rejected. City want to get this deal done to avoid other football clubs bidding. What an amazing player this could be for Manchester City. One thing I've noticed from his clips as well, very elegant. He seems that sort of centre-back that reads the game. Footballing IQ seems incredibly high for such a young player. All the clips I saw, I didn't see him sliding into any tackles. He's the sort of player that walks off as a centre-back with clean shorts, not a speck of mud on his knees. Do you know what I mean? That sort of centre-back. Doesn't need to, because he's already there. He's already positioned himself. That brings me on to another player that we've been linked with, who seems a very opposite type of centre-back, but equally important and equally just as, could be as valuable to Manchester City, because Abdukodir Khusanov gives me warrior vibes, Nicholas Otamendi vibes. You know, another player that's young, up-and-coming centre-back, that Manchester City are trying to get this deal done, and sounds very likely that we could get this deal done. Again, it's not been agreed, but getting close to agreements is what I'm hearing. But from the vibes I'm getting from Khusanov, he looks like a very different type of player. And I think the two could complement each other as the future of Manchester City if they both start making it into the starting 11 of Manchester City when they start getting into their 20s. You imagine they start getting regular football once they start reaching that age. And we're paying the money that we're reportedly going to pay for them. They're clearly planned for the first team, you know, so putting a warrior alongside an elegant defender, I think that could work wonderfully for Manchester City. Both can play with the football, which is the most important thing from a Pep Guardiola centre-back, but they both defend in different ways, and I like that. I like that a lot. I really do. I really enjoy that. Now, another player we've been linked with, who doesn't know, Omar Mamush. Blockbuster signing this will be. The player's keen. He wants it. He wants it. Do you know what he doesn't want? He doesn't want Liverpool. He wants City. Of course he does. You know, he's got a brain. Of course. He knows what the future is. He knows Liverpool are running on fumes right now, you know, with the likes of Virgil van Dijk, Mo Salah. You know, they're coming to an end. You know, Liverpool's rebuild is on the horizon. They better get busy, like City are right now, because we're in the process of going through our rebuild. So the next generation of Manchester City players, we could be talking about an incredibly successful story of Pep Guardiola ending his time at Manchester City, lifting more silverware with 2 years to go. Who's to say we won't? Who's to say we won't? Because Liverpool, they've got big building projects to come, as do other football clubs. I mean, I dare I say Manchester United? I mean, are they even relevant in this conversation? Probably not. Probably not. But like I say, Omar Mamush, club's not agreed. What's great about this is it's still early. You know, all of these deals that we're hearing about, we've just passed the first week of January. You know, we've got 3 weeks to go. You know, getting these deals and negotiations are happening so early on multiple fronts. A multitude of negotiations are happening right now. which gives us time for the rest of the month to get these deals over the line. I hope City don't penny pinch too much in some of these deals and accept that they have to pay a little bit of a premium considering our personal circumstances and adding the fact that it's January. You have to pay a little bit more to prize these players away in the month of January because they're in the middle of a season. Not so much Vitor Reis because their season a little bit differently in terms of when they play their football, but the likes of Omar Mamush in particular is a player that's been a very disruptive signing in terms of Eintracht Frankfurt's season going forward for the rest of the season. They're losing a player that's getting them more than a goal and an assist a game. You know, what an absolute unbelievable transfer window this could be for Manchester City. But we need a defensive midfielder. That is the only concern for me. But I think we'll get one as well. I think we'll get the deal done, and it gets me excited. Can you tell? What does this mean for the charges as well? Because that's the topic I wanted to go with today, because I started to think, here we go. The proof is starting to be in the negotiations that we're going into, that these charges, I mean, come on. Why are we spending all this money, or why are we about to spend all this money? If we're guilty, it makes absolutely no sense. What do you think, Blues and rival fans? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Give me a chuckle to have for the rest of the day. Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe to Typical City, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City now, holding up silver.